This is a quick performance installation video for K10742. That is an AC alternator power steering bracket for 2014 to 19 truck engines mounting the Sanden Mini compressor. To start, we're going to do some pre-assembly. So we'll take a 12mm by 50, load it in the middle here, and then another 12 by 50 and load it on the edge here. We'll get our idler pulleys onto the bolt. Sorry about that. And then capture it with a flange nut. In a later step, this will be very difficult to do, so you'll be well advised to go ahead and follow this step here. Next, we're going to do some assembly on the reservoir plate here. 10 by 20 bolts here and here. We'll get our reservoir plate, slide that on, and then capture that with some flange nuts. And we'll just leave this for a later step, just like that. We're going to prepare the bracket to be installed on the engine. We'll take a 10 by 150, put it up here, and then we have an 8mm by 130 that will go down here. Flip this over, and it's a little bit clunky with that, but no big deal. 8mm, we have two 3/4 inch tubes. 8mm one takes the shorter one, shorter bolt. Longer one goes on the 10mm. Now we're ready to install it on the engine. We're going to install into the cylinder head in this bolt hole right here, and then down here this 8mm. I like to start down at the bottom. That way it holds the weight as you get it going. And then this just swings up here. We're going to leave all of these finger tight for a little bit. We'll run these down a little bit more, but we want it to be loose until after we install the AC compressor. Next, we're going to take a 150mm, 10mm, put it into the spot face here. Take our 4 7/16 bolt. We're going to take our back plate, slide it in between. That's another reason why it's good to leave these a little bit loose. Get that started in there. And then we're ready to move on to the next step. We'll install the alternator here with a 10 by 80mm bolt, just like that, and then this can relax down. And then we'll capture that on the rear with a flange nut. And then we'll attach the other one now. We'll take another 150mm bolt here through the alternator, and then we have a 2 7/16 tube. We'll slide it through there, and we'll move the shot so you can see what happens here with the back plate. I have Joel helping me hold the alternator in place so I can show you guys without my hands in the way, but we'll just swing this back plate up into place, and then it just drives right in there. You might have to jiggle a little bit on the bracket. Once again, leaving it loose will help you out. We'll take this down to finger tight. We're going to mount the compressor with a couple of 8mm by 25 bolts. Just get that started there. I like to use the bottom one first. Once again, let it do the work so I can get up here and do the top one. We'll go ahead and take these down to finger tight, and we'll move around to the rear. We're going to add the reservoir plate at the same time. All right, we're going to take our reservoir back plate. We're going to take our 8mm by 60, and we're going to grab this spacer here and thread that in like so. Then we'll repeat that on the bottom. And then we'll capture those with some 8mm flange nuts. Now you want to leave these a little bit looser than I did on that top one. You want it to be able to slide back and forth because we want to go ahead and torque these in the front to get this centered to the plate. All right, so we're going to start tightening up the bracket before we go through a torque process. We're going to start here with our lowest bolt. Get that nice and tight. Jump up here to this one here. Now, you saw my hand here. When we come down here and start working on this one to get it tightened up the rest of the way, you want to have a little bit of pressure upward and inward on this to hold it in place. I'm going to switch to our 17mm for the other ones. So the next one on the list is this one right here. Lift up and in. Get that tightened up to the cylinder head. Now we're starting to really hold that bracket in place. Now down here to the spot face. And at this point, it's really holding itself in place. You can probably let go, followed by the alternator bolt going into the cylinder head. Yeah, watch that alternator come back into place. We'll grab a 15 millimeter for the back here to grab this nut. And we'll get this towards right there. That's good and tight. Now we come over, we got that one. Looking at my list here, trying to do this in order for you guys. The last two will be here on the back, and we'll switch views so you guys can see that better. One of the things I want to draw your attention to here is this spacer here. Now this is a sleeve that can move in and out. We have made this a specific distance for where we think this will land. But if this is really floppy and loose, I want you to take the bolt and nut out and actually use a punch to drive this to where ours is sitting here nice and firm. So we'll go ahead and tighten that down. And then repeat the same for down here. Got to check for the same thing. Looks nice and good. We'll get to it. Now we're ready for the torque sequence. We're ready to torque here. These are 8 millimeter bolts. We're going to take those to 13 foot-pounds. Now I am going to go back through in the exact same order that we started this process with. Switch over to a 17. Now the 10 millimeter bolts have a 17 millimeter head, and those are 37 foot-pounds. So we'll turn up the torque on our wrench here just a little bit. Once again, following the pattern, we've done 1, 2, and 3. We come over here to 4. Drop down to 5. Up to 6. See if we can get 7 without getting out our wrench. Look at that. So that gives us those 7. Now we're going to jump around back on the back side, get this 8 millimeter bolt down to 15 foot-pounds here and here. All right, we're going to load up some idler pulleys here. We'll get off our flange nuts. Come in here with an idler, capture that. And then we'll get our last 12 millimeter bolt. It comes in from right here. Now, you don't want to do this in an earlier step, because in order to get this, you don't really want that on there. Once you get that idler post on there, you'll be able to see. You'd have to have a pretty thin wall socket to make that work for you. These are 12 millimeter bolts. We're going to torque all 3 of these down to 50 foot-pounds. Next, we're going to do the power steering pump. We'll just slide it up in there into its spot faces, get it all settled down like that. I like to do the middle one first, so it makes kind of holds it in place, and I go ahead and run it all the way down. Sorry for the ringing of the pulley. This is a machine pulley that we have made just for us. Nice 5.5 inch light aluminum pulley. Once again, these are 8 millimeter bolts. We're going to torque these down to 15 foot-pounds. All right, we're going to install our reservoir and hose. We'll start by taking our little cap off of there. Now, we provide this hose in the kit. It is a little bit long, so you can trim it to the fit that you like best. So we'll get that set there. We'll come in with our reservoir and get it set in there as well. And you can play around with how the hose, and then it just clips on just like so. And we slide get my tool out here. Helps if it's going the right way as well. Get that out here. We'll bring these clips into place and then just go ahead and tighten those down. I like the clocking the way it is right here. We got that. And then drop down here. Want a nice square seat on here if we can. And just manhandle that, or for you ladies out there, do whatever it is that you do. Easy as can be. We have the belt installed. We do a good job in the installation instructions of calling out a Gates part number for you, but every system is a little bit different. You can have a different alternator here that has a larger pulley or a larger diameter. So the most important thing is once you get this on is to actually take a look at the tensioner marks here. We'll take a close-up picture here for you, but basically what it is this is the center line and we have maximum and minimum stops. You're going to want a belt that's a little bit on the tight side so that as the belt naturally stretches over time or seats down into the grooves, all effectively making it longer, you won't have a belt that's bottoming out under heavy load. Thank you for watching this quick performance installation video. If you have any questions, give us a call or shoot us an email. We do want to help. And if you have any pictures of your install, we'd love to see those so we can share them on social media or even put them on the website. Thanks.